So we have Democrat politicians like Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer who are being pressured by the far left base of the Democrat Party to abolish ICE, shut down the government, and defund DHS, which is a huge national security risk. Will these politicians actually give in to these demands, or will they actually start governing for the American people? Welcome to the Immigration Report. If you want daily immigration updates with evidence, without bias, please consider subscribing. Let us get into it, starting with this video of Hakeem Jeffries being confronted on the Joy Reid show.
So I ask you, and I'm doing following up to Joy because I want an answer to this. You said you want to rein in ICE. I'm talking about the long term now. Why not lead and say abolish ICE? Because what you're telling us is you want our taxpayer dollars to pay for a lawless masked armed agency to continue terrorizing our cities. And I'm trying to figure out how you, as a leader, can be telling Americans that their taxpayer dollars should be going to ICE.
I don't understand anything that you just said.
I spoke English.
I don't understand anything that you've just said to me when I've made clear that taxpayer dollars should be used to make life more affordable for the American people, not brutalize or kill them. That's the whole reason we're in this fight right now. That's the whole reason the DHS is getting ready to shut down. That's
So
the whole
abolish
reason
ICE.
why
You agree with me and Joy. Abolish ICE.
Listen, I'm going to use the language that I want to use. You can use the language that you want to use.
So if you didn't know, the government is in a partial shutdown because the Democrats, they want to hold the government hostage over the funding of DHS and ICE to pander to their base. Because the thing is, DHS and ICE has been funded through 2029. The Trump administration anticipated this move by the Democrats, which is why he put that in the big, beautiful bill that was passed last year, that DHS and ICE will be funded all the way through 2029. Now, this move by the Democrats, by Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer, is nothing but to cater to their base. And here we have Tim Scott explaining that the big, beautiful bill actually provided funding for DHS and ICE all the way through 2029. Take a look.
Joey, let me just say this to every single Democrat standing in the way of funding DHS. Shame on you. You're making our homeland, the United States of America, less secure because you're trying to make a political point. You're not trying to make a difference. You're trying to make a political point because, as you just alluded to, in the Working Families Tax Cut bill, we funded the vast majority of ICE through 2029. Yeah. And so what you're seeing today, Joey, are Democrats literally leveraging our national security.
So this fight by the Democrats is literally pointless. And that was Tim Scott that stated that this is nothing but a political stunt by the Democrats to pander to their base. And the Democrats, they know that. And here's Chuck Schumer. He was confronted on CNN, of all places, in regards to ICE being funded all the way through 2029. Take a look at his response.
So your fellow Democratic Senator John Fetterman of Pennsylvania, who voted against shutting down the government, he pointed out that, quote, this shutdown literally has zero impact on ICE functionality. Democracy demands a way forward to reform ICE without damaging our critical national security agencies, unquote. And it is true that CBP and ICE are fully funded this year, and you're using the funding of other parts of DHS, such as the Coast Guard or TSA, as leverage. And in the meantime, ICE can keep doing whatever it wants to do. So the question would be, how does the shutdown do anything to accomplish the goal of reining in Trump's immigration crackdown if ICE and CBP are not necessarily directly affected?
Well, 2 points. First, we have proposed that the guardrails that will be applied to ICE are applied not just to the present funding, but to the previous funding that was in the big bad bill. That's very important to us. So that will rein in all of the ICE agents, no matter where they're funded. But second, there's a simple answer to this. Republicans, go along with these common sense proposals, and we'll fund the whole DHS bill, the whole Department of Homeland Security bill. Just go along. Again, I cannot repeat enough. These are common sense. Police departments across America use them. We have a rogue agency. Why don't we rein them in? That's what the American people are asking Republicans, and that's why they're going to have to go along with us. And I believe they'll have no choice but to go along with us.
So that is Chuck Schumer, the top Democrat in the Senate. And here he's trying to explain the reason for this fight. And he doesn't have a legitimate reason. And we all know the reason why Chuck Schumer do things these days is because he's afraid of AOC, and AOC is going to challenge him in the next election. because he's been in the Senate for a very long time. And what has he accomplished over the past couple of years? And we have an article here that says AOC leads Schumer in head-to-head New York primary matchup by double digits. So we know the reason why Chuck Schumer do things these days is because he's afraid to be challenged by AOC. And we have Hakeem Jeffries here, who was asked the same question. Why are you picking this fight? And here's his response.
So you say very clearly that this, and it's clear in your proposals, this is about reining in ICE and the CBP. But those agencies, as you well know, are very well funded already through the Big Beautiful Bill Act. That's what the president called it, and it passed last year. So what that means is that a shutdown would really only impact unrelated agencies, FEMA, TSA, FAA. So how does pushing for these changes and potentially not getting there help rein in an immigration crackdown?
Well, our plan is to get there on behalf of the American people. That's why we need to press forward aggressively and ensure that there are legislative changes enacted as part of any DHS spending bill.
So that is a whole bunch of nothing from Hakeem Jeffries. And now that we know that this move by the Democrats is nothing but a political stunt, because ICE has been funded. And the thing is, choosing to defund DHS isn't just affecting ICE or CBP. It's affecting other organizations as well, because under DHS, you have ICE, you have CBP, you have the Secret Service, you have FEMA, which is responsible for all emergencies and stuff, right? You have TSA, which works at airport. And if these people aren't working, you're putting our country at a huge risk. And here's Tim Scott on that matter as well.
Leveraging our national security to make a political point, not a difference, not taking care of the home front, not funding TSA, not funding those who need FEMA to come in after a disaster. We're talking about leaving our Coast Guard unfunded. Why? Politics, not to make a difference, but to make a point. And Joe, I'll go one step further. Not only should they be ashamed of themselves, when they're walking through the airports over the next several days, they should be looking down, not into the eyes of people sometimes working paycheck to paycheck, keeping our airports safe, keeping passengers moving. It is undeniable that we've already funded 96% of the United States government through the appropriations process.
Tim Scott brought up a good point. A lot of people who works in DHS are going to be working without a paycheck. And a lot of people we know live paycheck to paycheck. And what we saw during the last government shutdown, that a whole bunch of workers had to essentially find different means to pay their bills, to pay their rent, to find food. And Democrats are putting them back in that same position, because most of the more than 270,000 people employed by Homeland Security are deemed essential, meaning that they stay on the job during a shutdown. And in my opinion, I think if there are people that work for the government, that works for the federal government, they're not getting paid. I don't think Congress should get paid as well. And here we have Rick Scott making that very same point. Take a look.
September 30, I'm a business guy, I always pass budgets. And by the way, if you didn't do your job in business, you didn't get paid. You don't show up and do your job, you don't get paid. Why are we getting paid? We shouldn't get paid if we don't do our job. We need to figure out how to work together to get our budgets done. It's as simple as that.
So you're going to offer legislation to not get paid during shutdowns?
Absolutely. I already have a bill. We've got a bill that we don't get paid during the shutdown. Ron Johnson's got a bill that we'll never have shutdowns. That should pass also. But on top of that, what are the Democrats doing? This is a clean resolution. All we're doing is keeping the funding. Actually, the funding is too high. It's still the Biden funding. But I don't want to shut down government, so I support it. But the Democrats, they want to shut down for whatever reason. How is this good for the country? Nobody wins with a shutdown.
So I hear.
Yeah, I think Congress get paid to do a whole lot of nothing, because they're not governing. They haven't been governing over the past couple of years. Most of the things that the President of the United States is doing is through executive orders. When it comes to the borders, we need legislation to seal the borders. But Congress, they cannot pass anything. I think we should cut the paycheck for Congress. And I think if they do not open the government, if there's anyone in the federal government, any agencies, institution, if they choose to shut down the government, I don't think they should be getting paid. And here's Tom Homan. He was asked about the government shutdown, and this is his response. Take a look.
Now, I want you to explain for our viewers, Tom, what will happen if DHS funding runs out? And what does this tell you about the 47 Democrat senators, everyone except John Fetterman, all the moderates, they say they're moderates, they voted to stop funding DHS, at least temporarily pause it.
They care more about politics than the safety and security of this nation. You're talking not funding the Coast Guard, who have stopped multiple loads of drugs coming in this country. You're going to defund TSA, who keeps our skies safe. You're going to defund the Secret Service. I mean, they put politics aside. This is about safety and security of this nation. ICE has all the money they want to keep doing the job. Of course, the men and women on the board between ICE won't be getting paid, but we'll continue to do operations. These are patriots. They're going to keep going out there and taking people off the street. And let me be clear, mass deportations will continue.
And that was the border czar, Tom Homan, saying the Democrats are putting politics over the security and safety of this nation. And that brings us to the end of today's immigration report. Let me know in the comment section below if you think the Democrats, they have a legitimate reason to shut down the government, or is this a way to pander to their far left base? Also, please consider liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. Thank you.